Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I'm your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm delighted to welcome an accomplished and respected coach from New York City, Anastasia Tripolskaya. Anastasia,
Hello.
welcome to the show.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Anastasia is a career clarity and a life purpose coach, and she's the creator of Find Your Life's Work. So before we start talking about career clarity and life purpose, tell me a little bit about your own amazing journey from Deloitte and Intuit to becoming a career clarity coach. What inspired this transition?
Yeah, thank you so much. Well, what inspired it is the realization that I really wanted to do something a little bit more meaningful, and I wanted to help people at a deeper level. And I went through my own process of kind of shedding my old identity of being this workaholic, high achiever. I had a very successful career in marketing strategy and technology consulting at Deloitte, and I felt very proud of myself. On the outside, my career looked so great and polished. I was making really great money, and I felt that yes, it looks great, but in the inside, I felt a little bit empty. And there was a moment when I realized that I just couldn't go on like this anymore because I wanted a
Correct.
lot more purpose and I wanted to be myself.
Yeah.
So I had to really slow down and face the reality that I became a person who, when I was 16 years old, I judged. I became a successful yet unhappy adult who
Mm-hmm.
was afraid to make a change and hid in the comfort of a very well-paying job. And that realization was kind of one of the big turning points because I'm a very sincere, very like a genuine high energy person who at that point I felt small. I felt in the box and a little bit suffocated and I needed a change and but I didn't know what kind of change would I have?
Right.
What else would I do? And I really had to go and through my own rediscovery process and see what is it that I'm here to do on this planet Earth? What am I born to do? And as I did the exploration, I realized that for my entire life, I was always a person who, one way or another, through conversation, I would, find a stranger on the street or on a subway or like a relative or a colleague. Somehow, through deep conversation, people will have more clarity. They'll
Mm.
have more understanding of who they are, of what they want, and they'll say, "Oh my gosh, I'm going to quit my job, I'm going to start a business," or like, "Oh, you're right, I'm going to go after this dream." And there's more confidence and there's more direction. And I thought,
Right.
wow, that's my gift. And if I were to use that, I can help a lot more people. That my life would have a lot more meaning. And then I thought, okay, so who are the people who do this full time? And they're coaches. So I went through to school and became a professional certified coach with Ericsson Coach International, and I'm a and left my full time job. And another part of me for doing this is that I really wanted, since I was 14, I had this dream that one day I would start a business that helps people. And I felt if I didn't do it then, I might never do it because
Mm.
the temptation of staying in this very, comfortable, predictable career was very big. And so I felt I cannot betray myself. I thought, okay, I'm gonna actually give my dream, my business a chance, and I'm so glad I did. And now I
What a
help
great
others to do
response.
the same. Yeah.
What a great response. Thank you. And what would you say was some of the most pivotal moments in your corporate career that nudged you towards coaching?
Towards coaching, yeah, I think there are three pieces. One is that I felt the work was lacking a deep sense of purpose. I wanted to help people, and at that time I was helping big corporations. Sure, I was great at what I was doing, but I felt I'm meant for something more. Two, I felt like the lifestyle wasn't sustainable. I was working 60, 80, 100-hour work weeks, and
Right.
I'm married. I traveled Monday through Thursday for work every single week.
Mhm.
And I felt, how are we going to have kids if I'm never home? That really was a big realization for me. And the third, I felt I can't be fully myself. I felt like I'm wearing a mask in the office. And when I come home, wear my pajamas, I can exhale and I can be me for just that hour that I'm before bed because I would be
Yeah.
working till 11 or midnight.
Mm.
And those three values, the lack of meaning, the lifestyle, and the desire to be me, were violated. And that's how I realized that, wow, something has to change. And I bring that into my coaching as well, because every person has a different set of values. And they're different now that they were 5, 10, 20 years ago when they chose their careers.
Correct. Well said. Anastasia, let's now talk about the work that you're doing as a career clarity and life purpose coaching. As a coach, what exactly is your definition of career clarity and how do you define it for your clients?
Yeah, great question. Well, career clarity is the clear understanding of who you are and what it is you truly want to do long term. And I take it on the next level. I want people to find clarity about the path that's the most fulfilling and purpose-driven career that's truly meant for them. That's how I define career clarity. Because a lot of times people may know what's the next job or role for them, but they don't have a vision. And or if they may have a vision, sometimes it's disconnected from their purpose. And so for me, it's all about who you truly are, what's your purpose, and let's find a path that you're born for here to have. And because I'm all about helping people live to the fullest of their potential so they can be the happiest they can be and make the biggest difference in the world.
Amazing. And how would you say coaching for life purpose is different from the traditional career coaching or mentorship that a lot of people do?
Yeah, that's actually a great question. So traditional coaching, career coaching, is all about let's look at your resume, kind of very mental, logical evaluation of, okay, you have these skills, you have this degree, these are the jobs that you could be good next. And it's very dry. It's very kind of soulless, and a lot of times the coach would give an advice of what they think you should do next, and that's entirely different from my approach. Because if you were to approach a career like that, people who are, by the time they build a successful career, high achievers who been working so hard, they feel very unhappy, and they don't want to do what they've been doing. That's why they feel so stuck and lost. So I invite them to not just choose something that they can do. I call that a can do trap, where people just try to feed themselves into a small list of options that, again, they're not even inspiring it for them. I help you to tap into who you truly are, and let's find what's the big why for you on this planet? If you were to live to the fullest of your potential, who are you here to help using your unique gifts?
Right.
That's what life purpose coaching is about. And another piece that's important is I don't give people advice on this is what the best career is for you. Because sometimes people come to me and say, so by the end of it, will you tell me what I should do with my life? No. Who is here that's better than you to know what's best for you? But
Right.
the kind of coach I am, I help you create, I guide you through the process. I give you space to see what's best for you. So you tap into your inner answers that are already in your heart.
Right.
You just try to make sense of what's best for you.
And based on all the work that you do, Anastasia, with so many clients, what are some of the common blocks or limiting beliefs you have encountered?
Yeah. Some of the big blocks is when people think that they should choose a career only based on their passions, for example. There is so much noise right now in the industry. Everybody just says, well, quit your job, follow your passion. And there are many old business books about passion. And the reality of it is it's not. What if you have 6 passions? Are you going to start 6 businesses or, get 6 jobs? You're not probably going to be successful in all of them or fulfilled. So let's take it on the next level. I always say purpose beats passion any day, because purpose is a deeper level reason that will kind of carry you through all the storms, through how no matter how long or hard it is for you to fulfill what it is you want, you will know you'll make it happen, because your purpose is so much bigger than any obstacle that you would face. But if you choose a career that just connects to your passion, and yes, it's something you enjoy doing, but there's no deeper reason other than, okay, it's fun, but also it needs to make money, you're probably going to give up in like 6 months or a year. And another really important component is that, again, people choose from what they can do, but I say, let's find a path that connects to your zone of genius. And what is that? Your zone of genius is, yes, sure, we may have many skills and we can do many things, absolutely, especially if you've been in your career for like 10, 15, 20 years. You can do many things. But not all of those things are going to bring you fulfillment and the kind of impact you really crave. So if you want to slow down and understand what's that intersection of what gives you energy, what expands you, and what you're also great at, that's your zone of genius. Oh my gosh, you would be the most unstoppable, the happiest, most impactful human. And there are many opportunities for you that would open up if you were to approach your career this way, but you do need to give yourself a chance and explore it and kind of look outside the box. Like really, I'm always inviting people to look 360 for why are they here truly versus like, yeah, what can I do next? That's kind of very different question. And another mistake that people make, they just kind of sometimes think a little bit too reactively from where they are today versus, wow, if this is my purpose, if that's my vision, now you feel inspired. Now you have a lot more motivation and desire to make things happen.
Well said. Great response. My next question is, how do you help clients distinguish between a career crisis and a life transition?
Wow. Well, actually, each person would probably know by the time they're going through a crisis or just life transition. But sometimes life transition, a career crisis is a form of a life transition, right? It can be a stage before that kind of like, wow, now they've realized they feel so unhappy, they feel so lost, and they cannot go on like this anymore. But now what? So they're questioning themselves on a very deep level. I call that stage sometimes like a stage of disconnection from their true self. That's what sometimes feels like I'm in a career crisis. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm so burnt out. I'm so empty. And then it leads to a decision. Okay, I need to really get my life to a different spot and prepare for that life transition. But also sometimes life transitions can be at different levels. It can be about relationships, can be about health, right? So just the scope of it can be just depending on what people are struggling with.
Well said. And what role do values and identity play in discovering one's ideal career?
Yes, a very big role because to start with identity, a lot of times people, I think at least in a traditional sense, how people, a lot of the society, how majority of the society is raised is your job, your career needs to be providing for food, shelter, your family, right? People put on an identity of, I'm a provider, I need to be the responsible one. And they build this kind of achiever mentality, very go, go, go. Working hard, especially in the United States, is very supportive. Everybody feels proud of how much they're working. And that identity is feeding into their actions and into their and that's also actually based on the values, because at that time their values are sometimes about achievement, about establishing themselves, sometimes status, sometimes financial security. And by the time people become unhappy, something shifts and they realize that the old identity, they've outgrown that. They want something else. They want more meaning, they want more fulfillment, they want more purpose, they want more happiness. And because their values have changed, they want more lifestyle that allows them to have more time with their kids and family and have hobbies. But how do you do that if you're still operating out of the workaholic mentality? So you need to change, you need to catch yourself and reevaluate what truly matters to you now and moving forward, like I did for myself and do for my clients. And then reimagine, who do you truly want to be? Let's say 3, 5, 10 years from now. And from that identity, from that set of views and beliefs that this person now have, you can create a completely different life that's in alignment with your values. And you'd be a lot more in, harmony with yourself. You'll have a lot more peace. And your life will just be a lot more balanced that way.
Fascinating. And how do you help clients to test or validate their new directions before taking the leap? Because you mentioned a few minutes back that you don't tell people what to do, but you can help them to validate if the decision is correct.
That's actually an excellent question, because a lot of times people don't test. And they just have an idea, or somebody said, oh, you should do this, and they just go. And then 3 weeks from now or like 6 months, they're like, wow, why did I do this to myself? I hate this. I want people to feel confident before they make a change and lower all of the risk, like as much as possible, minimize the risks of this change, because every career change can feel risky, right? And for you to feel more in control and confident, I invite people to test I call that hypothesis testing stage, but it's very important when you do it, because sometimes people rush into testing and, talking to a lot of people. By the time they don't even know what they're looking for. It's like, how can you understand what people are telling you and be sure that advice or perspective will really make sense to you? So the timing always really matters. And I always say, start first before you test. Start first with who you truly are. Rediscover yourself. What's your zone of genius? What are your values? What are your interests and passions? What are you dreaming about? What kind of lifestyle do you want to have? What's your purpose? Wow, now you have a lot more focus. Your list of options is a lot smaller and it's more granular, and you're like, okay, you're just choosing from a handful instead of like 500. And you can, when you test, there are many ways to test. So one of the ways is, of course, yes, talking to people, asking questions like, how does a day-to-day look like? What are some challenges? What are some ups and downs of this career? There are many questions you can be asking.
Yeah.
Another is just do a small project. Maybe it's a weekend activity, or maybe it's a volunteering or something you could do. Get your feet wet. It doesn't mean get a job. No, that's the ultimate test. Start a business or get that master's. Sure, you'll get a lot more clarity from it, but how about you do some testing before you commit to that? Another test could be you can take a class or like some online training that could give you an idea. Do you really care for the subject? Or like you can go to any library or bookstore and scan the books on the subject and see, do you truly feel curious enough about this to dedicate your next, few years, a decade to this? Or does it only look good on paper, but not really for you? Again, there are
Correct.
many, many ways to test.
I'm sure.
And yeah, you
I'm
could.
sure. Well said. And how do you balance practical realities like finance and family obligations, or what people also call work-life balance, with purpose-driven goals?
Yes, very, very important, because especially for people who are even asking their question of what my purpose is, sometimes it's people with a value system that's it's about helping others, it's about doing something meaningful. Sometimes it's people who have this sometimes altruistic side of theirs that can be easy to worry in a practical sense. But will this career, yes, be soulful, but will it be also financially rewarding? Is it practical? And I believe that if you truly find a path that connects to both your purpose, your zone of genius, and your values, you can absolutely make it financially rewarding as well, and have that stability in your life. But now you would be operating out of inspiration. Now you have a path that kind of pulls you. That's something that you feel like you cannot not do anymore, because it's like it's so true to who you are. You would be beaming with energy, and you would be
Right.
also a lot more likely to succeed on that path. And that's why I always say, give yourself space to explore, and then you will see there are many ways to go about fulfilling your purpose. So don't just immediately jump and kind of, that may feel scary. But now if you have that vision, let's say 3 to 5 years from now, you want to be something, you can be like a strategist. You can make shifts based on what kind of skills do you need to have, what kind of experiences would allow you to get to where you want to be, while still having stability, while, you don't just immediately cut the cords.
Right.
So
Right.
the practical aspect is very important, and there are ways to go about it. But I also am going to say this: sometimes when people are clear on their purpose, their values also, they're also not more clear about their values, and they see sometimes that the numbers that they had back then might shift a little bit, because the desire to do fulfilling work and have happiness may adjust the kind of lifestyle they want to have as well. And so again, it all depends on what truly matters to each person.
Correct. Correct.
Very personal.
Correct. Well said. And what advice would you have for someone who feels successful but unfulfilled?
Yes. Well, number one, I would say really understand the cost of staying in this state. How long can you allow yourself to be unhappy? Because there's an alternative cost to every decision. The longer we are unhappy, and yes, we may have that, prestige or stability, or, the perfect resume. But if you are empty on the inside, that's going to lead you to burnout. You might get depressed. I have spoken to so many people who feel so unhappy. Their health can deteriorate. Their relationship with their family and friends can go, not in a very good place. And so once you realize that, like, wow, this is the future that, or sometimes people realize like, I don't want to be the person I'm becoming because my kids are seeing me very unhappy. I don't want them, I want to be a role model for my kids, for example, right? So realize the cost of staying and see, wow, I cannot allow myself to stay in this any longer. And then you need to make a conscious choice to say, okay, I'm going to find a path that allows me to be both successful and happy, not just one or another, and really turn it into a goal. Because until you decide to make it your non-negotiable, that you both have fulfillment, purpose, and the success, you're not going to go for it, and you're still going to sacrifice your happiness for the paycheck. So that's very important. And then, of course, I would say if you have been stuck for a while, and if that's a big burning question, you don't assume that it's so easy or you have to figure it out alone or on yourself. By now, I've spoken to hundreds and hundreds of people, and I coached hundreds of people. People come to me when they say, "Well, I knew this wasn't the career for me 10 years from now, 15 years from back. But I didn't know. I thought I'm going to figure out, and I didn't." Wow. You don't need to wait so long. You can work with somebody who been there, knows it, who has the system. You can really figure out what you want in 6 to 10 weeks. Could be that if you give yourself that space.
Well said. And I just have time for two more questions. My next question is, can purpose evolve over time? And if so, how should one stay attuned to this evolution?
Great question. Purpose can evolve over time. I'll give an example. When I was 18, I moved to the United States all the way from Russia because I felt that I want to have a business that helps people one day. I didn't know what kind of business that would be. I just knew it has to help people. That was my big fuel for making this big move, pursuing my big dream since I was 14 to start a business. But then the clarity came later on what kind of business that would be and what kind of people am I here to help. But also at that time, it was kind of my big why, I would say. It wasn't my life's purpose at that time. Now I know my life's purpose, which is to help people discover, align with their purpose so they can live to the fullest of their potential and make the greatest impact and be the happiest they can be. That's my purpose. And there are many ways to go about it. And I always say, if you truly know your life's purpose, usually it doesn't change drastically with you. You might have multiple of them. For example, some people, family people, like I'm a family person too. I know, being a mom is one of those. And I'm sure people, like you're a parent too, your kid, and you do anything for them. But then on a professional level, why are you here, right? What kind of role are you here to play? And so what can change, usually again, purpose may stay, and if it's true purpose, will stay with you for years and decades, but what can change is your vision. Vision is a little bit more fluid. Let's say 3 to 5 years from now, who knows what AI is going to do, right? Or maybe there'll be another pandemic. You may have more skill by that time. So you may pivot and make some shifts, but you'll probably still stay in line with that big why, with that big, who are you here to help using what unique gifts? But you kind of will be always adjusting the practicality of your life to some degree. And again, in a practical sense, I'll give an example. Like for us coaches, for example, we may start with this desire to help people and do this, but we start like, let's say, coaching one-on-one. Then over time, I didn't know, but now I have a group coaching practice. Now I do podcasts, right? Someday maybe there'll be a book and like do a lot of public speaking. So that's more on the practical level, the vision that's adjusted, but it's still within the same purpose. Just kind of for context.
Very interesting. And my last question for you, Anastasia, if listeners were to remember only one insight from our conversation today, what would you think it should be?
Yeah, it's a great question. There's so much I could say, but if it's you have something special inside you. You have unique gifts, your zone of genius inside you, and your purpose. And if you were to give yourself a chance to identify it and to share it with the world, wow, you will have a life of meaning, you'll have a life of fulfillment, and a life of service at the same time. And until we wake up to this realization that we are unique, we have something to share, we're really limiting our potential. And I know it's going to sound maybe harsh, but to some degree, we are not giving other people a chance to experience our gifts. So we're doing a disservice to the humanity by staying stuck and lacking clarity. So that's why when you're clear on your purpose and your genius and your values, oh my gosh, your life changes completely. You are an entirely different human. You radiate different energy. You can just be making a much bigger difference. So that's what I want people.
Amazing. And on that note, and your powerful statement of, understand yourself, which is so important, and that is stated so many times in every possible scripture, every possible management guru, and coming from Anastasia. Thank you, Anastasia, for talking to me about your own journey. Thank you for speaking to me at such length about career clarity and life purpose coaching. Thank you again for speaking to me, and good luck to you.
Thank you so much, Ashutosh. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.